House Records.
What's up, Sam Martians? Welcome back to the Sambo Show. Today I'm once again joined by my friend and roommate, Garrett Watkins. Garrett, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me back, Cleve.
Hey, so we're back after spring break. How was yours?
It was pretty uneventful, to say the least. I definitely didn't go to Padre like a certain somebody at this table.
Like your boy. But so did you just go back home?
Yeah, I went back home. I saw a couple of sort of hometown friends that I hadn't seen since I'd moved down here. So that was pretty nice. We just kind of hung out shooting the shit about what had happened since high school. And surprisingly, for the people that stayed in my hometown, not a lot had happened.
Yeah, I had that same experience back in my hometown too. There's a couple friends who are either doing like community college or some are like just, working right now. And it hurts me a little bit. I mean, like some of them are still developing like really well. Like I've become better friends with some of them. Like shout out to like Joel, Jared, Malik, and all them. Like they're still back in shirts, but they're still developing as adults. They're still learning. They're still growing. But some of the kids from my high school, man, I'm telling you,
fucking Townies.
They're becoming fucking Townies.
Some super seniors, huh?
Yeah, it's like, oh god, like I used to make fun of people like that back when I was like a sophomore. When you have like those super seniors hitting on like the sophomore girls.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't you graduate like 2 years ago? And like I get worried. Yeah. I get worried for some of them because I'm like, some of them like they're really good friends and they're really good people. They have a lot of potential, and I just kind of like want to shake them out of it. The thing about shirts is it's a very suffocating town. It's a very nice, quiet little suburb of San Antonio.
Sure.
But it's very suffocating at the same time because there's families who's like, my grandpappy went here, I went here, son, you went here, and it's just it's a black hole of just suburbia.
Multi-generational townie family.
Oh, for sure.
There's how it. Yeah. It's the same way in Bullard. You have people who fucking rode out in their covered wagons, and their families are still there in Bullard, and they're basically at this point Bullard royalty. You've had the same family that have been the mayors since Moses wrote down the 10 Commandments, right?
Yeah.
And it's the sort of atmosphere that's kind of depressing because you realize that you are the one that has changed when you go back and you kind of see, you're like, oh, I remember that's the same stuff that was happening when I was in the 8th grade. Yep. And now here I am, all wise after my 1 year of a liberal arts education coming back.
I am now elite.
Yeah.
Kneel before me, plebs. Kneel.
Exactly.
You said you watched some good anime.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Do you want to talk about those?
So without revealing that I'm too much of a degenerate, I watched this one anime that's called Rascal Does Not Dream of the Bunny Girl.
Yeah, Bunny Girl Senpai or something.
Yeah, something like that. And so I made the mistake of watching it at the end of the week, which had been sort of the culmination of my shitty sleep schedule and not drinking water. If you're listening to this, I want you to fucking take a sip of water wherever you are, get some water. It's important to be hydrated.
Take one sip for the boys.
Take one sip. But I made that mistake of watching it at the end of sort of this emotionally draining week for me.
Oh boy.
And so I fell into just this pit of existentialism, and it was kind of a downer.
The same thing happened with me. Me and Kendall, we binged Neon Genesis Evangelion over the break, and I remember I was watching with her, and like I said, like it's very good eye candy. That's how it draws you in. Fucking giant mechs, giant monsters, big ass fucking explosions. But eventually it starts to fall apart, and you realize that the mechs and the gigantic aliens and shit are just window dressing for like this battle with depression, and it gets so dark and so existential. And I remember like we had 2 episodes left, and I turned to Kendall, I was like, so what do you think? And she was like, it's okay, I think you overhyped it a little bit. And I was like, all right, you just wait, because I knew what was coming next in the last 2 episodes, and I showed them to her, and afterwards I was like, what do you think? And it was just silence.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
well, from what you were telling me, so full disclosure, I have not watched Neon Genesis, but it's Cleveland's favorite anime.
Yeah, favorite anime.
It's
for sure.
it's his favorite anime, and he told me that the last 2 episodes were basically modern art. Like,
yeah, if you want to turn a psychotherapy session of inner monologue into a visual representation of what that would be like, basically like a vision quest with yourself.
Sure.
If you wanted to animate that, that was basically what it was.
Damn.
It gets so fucking abstract. It's just, but like the shit they talk about in there, it hits so heavy. It's good stuff. It's coming to Netflix in June.
Ooh.
They pushed it back because it was supposed to come out in spring when they announced it last winter. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, they pushed it back. So your spring break was pretty depressing.
It was. I came back to Texas State, and all it really took was about 15 minutes of seeing everybody again and just kind of getting back into the atmosphere of what it's like here on campus before, I finally was like, you know what? Life isn't all that bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I was on the opposite because I had my existential crisis before we left for Padre. And so, like, when I got to Padre, I was kind of like, those are tough questions. I'm going to drink to avoid answering those.
Ooh, drunk on a beach.
Yeah, because they ask you things like, what do you want in life? Do you really do these things because they make you happy or because other people treat you better when you do them? I was like, sounds like shots.
Yeah. Sort of those deep thoughts.
Yeah, and so when we got Padre, it was fun. I'm glad the trip length was what it was, because I think any longer we would have gotten tired of it, and any shorter we wouldn't have gotten to do everything we wanted to do. The weather was shit for the first 2 days.
Really?
Oh, absolute horseshit. Because it was in the 60s and it was just like cloudy and rainy on and off the entire time on the island.
Oh.
And so it wasn't necessarily the beach paradise getaway that we were hoping for. God,
yeah.
Make things work. The first night there was a fucking nightmare. Okay, so with what happened with the rooms was my suite mate, I'm not gonna name him just because I don't want to get personal with it, and like he really tried. Like it was a good plan. It's just shit came up that like none of us could have controlled.
Sure.
And it just made it a real pain in the ass for everybody on board. So we got there 1 day later than everybody else. It was me, Kendall, and Chloe. We drove down there to Padre, which is a 5-hour fucking drive. That's a long drive, and it's not like an interesting one either. It's just flat. It's just you're driving through the valley.
You have not felt a long drive until you have driven I'm originally from a little town in East Texas, and when my parents got divorced, my dad moved away from us just about as far as he could get without leaving Texas. So he was in Midland.
Oh,
we were in, West Texas, motherfucker, right? So he was in West Texas, we were in the East, and so it was like a 6.5 hour drive either way. And
Christ.
You want to talk about the most boring drive in your entire life. Once you get past Abilene, you've still got like an hour and a half, 2 hours before you hit Midland, and it's flat, and there's like tumbleweeds. I'm talking like Old West tumbleweeds across the highway.
Yeah. So anyway, we're driving through the valley, and we finally get to Padre, and we get there around like 5 o'clock, 6. And it's this place called Windwater Hotel. And it is the seediest joint I have ever been to in my entire life. It is like, if you imagine like when I say like seedy motel.
Yeah.
Like it's that.
Yeah.
So we get there, there's a little hot tub, a little pool area in the middle, and there's kind of like a little wraparound like 3-way of like rooms and the different levels. So we get there, it reeks like weed immediately. So I'm like, oh, this is a cool motel, right?
This is the air quote cool guy motel.
It's the cool guy motel, right? I was like, okay. We get to the room, we're getting unpacked. I was like, oh, I'm just ready to like chill out. I need a drink. We're gonna hop in the hot tub. It's gonna be fine. And so we're sitting there, and then 2 of the guys in our group are being very bold, and they are smoking weed outside the hot tub.
Ooh.
Just laying up a joint.
Cool guys smoking cool guy drugs.
Jesus Christ. And so this lady, and we would come to know her wrath in very, very soon time. She's all of like 5'2", grumpy asshole Hispanic lady. And I kid you not, her name tag said it. You can check me. Her name is Dora. I swear to God, her name is Dora, okay? This is not an alias. Her name is Dora. And she works at Windwater Hotel, and she was the worst. So what I didn't know is beforehand, the night they got there, they had to do a $400 security deposit, which was not mentioned at all online or on the phone.
Wow.
$400 security deposit and like another $150 in taxes.
Wow.
Yeah, so like it was basically getting nickeled and dimed as soon as I walked in there. And so she was not a fan of us or what they were smoking. And so she gets it, it's like, hey, you guys can't be doing this. I'm going to call the cops if you don't knock this off right now, which she has every right to.
Yeah, she's doing her fucking job.
You're smoking an illegal drug at a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she tells them knock it off, and then she turns to us in the hot tub. She goes, where's your guest passes? And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, where are your guest passes? I was like, we have a room. And she goes, what room? I said, 212. She said, okay, come with me. And so we go to the front register with her. And then she says, okay, what's your name? And I tell her, it's Jacob Cleveland. And then then Chloe and Kendall tell them, all their information. She goes, yeah, you guys aren't on the register. I go, what do you mean we're not on the register? And she pulls up the IDs. She did photocopies of 2 of the IDs. And those are the only 2 people on the register.
Sure.
So those are the only 2 people technically staying in the room, because it kept down the price to have 2 rooms for 1 person each, for whatever reason. So we had to buy guest passes, and these guest passes are $25 a night.
You guys were there for what?
We're there for 5 nights.
5 nights?
4 nights, 5 days. And so we'd have to pay, $25 a day to just be in the vicinity of the
seedy fucking motel.
These little red wristbands. I'm like, fuck that. So we pay the one-time fee just for that night so we can figure shit out. And so then we book our own hotel room at the place next door called Casa Baya, a much nicer hotel at half the price. Mm-hmm. And we didn't need wristbands for our guests. So the 3 of us got our own room. Mm-hmm. And so, we didn't need wristbands. It had a carpet there because they had tile at Windwater.
Oh, that's how you know you've descended into...
Let me paint this picture for you. These are the smallest rooms I've seen at a hotel. Super small rooms. Had a really nice flat screen for some reason. But very small room. They had these 2 beds. The covered sheets didn't even fit on them. So the sheets kept riding up when we were laying in bed that night. And so this is at Windwater. And so sheets keep riding up. It's hot as hell. The air conditioner turns on for 1 minute every 5 minutes. And so it's humid as hell. And then the bathroom is cramped. You can put 1 foot in the sink and you can put 1 foot in the shower when you're sitting on the toilet. It is that crammed.
Yeah.
And so, and to make things worse, in the shower, not only is it dirty, but also they have soap dispensers on the wall. No, you don't have little shampoo bottles.
Yeah, like high school soap dispensers that you would find in the bathroom.
Yes, little press the handle to get your fucking shampoo and conditioner.
High class.
Oh, I was like, this is
high class
fucking nightmare. And like I said, it's not really on the people who booked the trip. None of us could have foreseen that shit happening.
Of course.
But it was rough. And so once we got settled at Casa Baya, a lot better experience. It was just a lot less seedy. I felt safe there. They actually had carpet in the room. The rooms were much bigger. It just felt better in general. It also cost way less. The 3 of us, we paid $60 a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So it was $108 total, so we each just paid $60. Mm-hmm. And it was super easy. And then, so the weather cleared up for the last 2 days, really, for Thursday and Friday. And I remember Thursday was a really good day. It was super sunny out. And we just went to the end of the island because it was it's not even developed yet up on the north side of the island. So you just park across the side of the road and you just go to the beach. Wide open, and we just got pissed drunk on the beach. And that was what I wanted the entire time. And I just had a mix of Jimmy Buffett and Ariana Grande playing, tethering me to reality as I'm trying not to die of alcohol poisoning on the beach.
Yeah.
Because we depleted our resources pretty early in the week. So by the time we got to Thursday, all we had left, I drank all of my Smirnoffs, and I only had a couple beers left. And Chloe had this lemon vodka that was 40% alcohol.
Ooh, was it Deep Eddy?
I think it might have been.
Ooh, I have had a bad experience with Deep Eddy.
It's so strong. And so we didn't have that much mixer left. So my drink was, it was emptied out those Bai bottles, BAI, I think little.
Oh yeah, the basically knockoff vitamin water.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's vitamin water. So it's one of those bottles, and it's probably 10% Sprite, and just the rest is straight vodka. It was I can drink some pretty hard stuff, but the thing that made it hard wasn't the alcohol; it was how tart it was. You're supposed to add water to it.
Yeah. To
dilute it a little bit. I had an inch of Sprite in that drink, and the rest was just all of that vodka, and so I had to get a straw to make it a little more palpable because I could not sip it. Mm-hmm. There was just too much. So I got a straw. I guzzled it really quickly with that straw. And then I just remember sitting there. I was like, oh, I feel it now, Mr. Krabs. And then we just kind of drunkenly stumbled around the beach, got sunburn. Chloe became one with the sand. She decided to lay right where the tide was washing up. and she just kind of laid there and let it just all hang out. She was just having the time of her life. It was that last Thursday was a really good day.
Yeah, it sounds kind of spiritual.
Yeah, it was a good day. And the night before that, Wednesday, they have this really cool place there called Louies Backyard. Mm-hmm. And so it's like a multi-stage club. Like they have bars everywhere. It's like an old, it's like a pier. It's on the back side of the island, away from like the coast and the beach part of it. It's on the back side where the wind doesn't hit. So it's over the water. It's this big boardwalk area. There's bars everywhere, multiple DJ booths, multiple floors with like different like setups. Like, so the backside of this thing is like a gigantic pit. They have like, I don't want to say flamethrowers, but they have the little things that shoot a fire in the back and shit. Like when the beat drops, everybody's jumping around. They have a big ass DJ booth. And then on like the second floor, they have like 2 separate rooms, and they have like disco balls and shit going, and it's like black light.
So basically a Texas State student's wet dream.
Yeah, it's a paradise, man. It is. Now, they're very serious about underage drinking there. Like, I think those are the thickest X's and thickest Sharpies I've ever seen in my entire life go across my hands when I walked in there. I mean, they were not fucking around. Like, and I could not get a drink to save my life. It was a lot of fun. That was a good night. Like, it was good, but for me, like, I'm a kind of like, I'm a party once a week kind of guy.
Yeah.
More than that, even on spring break, like I get tired, like because I'm very introverted in terms of like where my energy comes from. Mm-hmm. Like I need to recharge.
Yeah. There always needs to be a recharge period.
Yeah, people drain me. I love people, but they drain me. So like I need my little like quiet time to kind of just like sit there and do nothing for a little bit and just breathe. And so I mean, after that one night, like I was set. I was like, okay, cool, it's enough partying. And so like we tried to stay with the group we came with the ones in Windwater. But it was just like we had different priorities. They wanted to go party more, and we kind of just wanted to chill out, sit on the beach. Because we did a lot of, on the days where the weather wasn't so good, on like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday for a little bit, we get like to the beach around sunset. And we just kind of sit, as like tide rolled in, we sit up on kind of a hill, and we kind of just drink and just sit and talk about life. It was good. It was just different speeds on that trip.
Yeah, different strokes for different blokes, as they say.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. So, how's your first week back treating you?
It's been an adjustment period for me. That week that we got for spring break kind of threw me off of my groove, and so coming back, I've just kind of been slammed with all of the responsibilities that I had gotten used to before spring break, and then when I had a week where I didn't have to worry about anything in particular other than making sure I ate at least once a day.
Yep. Drink water.
Yeah, drinking water. Hydrate, motherfuckers. Hydrate. Coming back and realizing that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also a full-time student. It was an adjustment period, but I've got a handle back on things, so that's where I am.
Yeah, God, this week has, I don't know, it's like, it's not scholastically challenging, like right now, because like the way my classes just seem to have aligned where it's like, it just comes in waves. It's like waves of tests. It's like 1 week where it's just like all fucking hell, and then like the 2 weeks between them are just kind of like a quiet period. So like right now I feel like theatrically it's as if the pieces of like the set pieces are being set up right now around me to like set the stage for the next hurdle I have to overcome. I'm doing okay. The thing is, my grades right now, I have all A's, but they're all like 90s and 91s.
Ooh, so I'm a dangerous game, Cleveland. It's a dangerous game.
I am riding right on the line right now. And so every test is still very high stakes. There's nothing secure. Yeah. And so it's not going to be good for my mental health, but at the same time it's the college experience. Yeah. God, and then not to mention, like I said, it hasn't been scholastically challenging this week, but in terms of the future of the show, what I've been trying to do over the past 2 weeks is starting to make that transition. So this will probably be the last episode published on SoundCloud, as we are making the great transition onto bigger platforms. So I'm already on Google Play. So this will be
professional.
This will be on Google Play for all 6 people that listen to podcasts on Google Play, and then I've checked up on Spotify, but Spotify has a lot less rigor to getting onto their platform. So I think I might just have to check one more time. But I'm pretty sure I'm on Spotify, and iTunes has been the biggest pain in the ass. Oh. It has been such a pain in the ass process to do. So I put in my application to get on iTunes. I got the host site over spring break, and I put in my application to get on iTunes like the first weekend of spring break. Yeah. It takes them basically 3 to 5 business days to get back to you on if you're podcast meets their standards. First time it did not, because the thumbnail did not like meet their regulations. That was fine. I was like, I get that. Kind of annoying, but I get it. Resubmit it. Wait another 3 to 5 business days. They say no again. And at this point, I'm like, what the hell? And so, like I said, it's been about 10 days now that I've been just waiting to hear back from them. And so I emailed them. I was like, hey, this is my 3rd time submitting now, despite me meeting your regulations. What am I doing wrong? I have to wait another 3 days for them to get back to me on that. And they finally say, hey, so the thing is, everything looks fine, but your thumbnail is .jpeg, JPEG, and not JPG. And so because of one letter in my thumbnail, not even the audio quality, it's the thumbnail for the episodes. That's what's been keeping me out of iTunes for the past 2 weeks. Thankfully, she saw how frustrated I was. Her name, I think her name's Christina. I don't know what the name. It's probably not even a real name that you use at Apple. But she said, if you get rejected another time, fix the format and reply to me, and I will personally review your podcast and put it through.
Yeah.
So iTunes is imminent at this point, and so I feel like we're moving on up. I feel like, we're finally getting onto the bigger platforms. We got stuff going on. And what I'm trying to really do now is just continue to get the word out, but also I'm trying to land Bubble Guy
for the podcast
for the season finale. Yeah,
Ooh.
I want to try to get him for the last episode of season 1, which is going to end when this semester ends. And then when I come back in the fall, I'm going to try to turn my room at the apartment I'm moving into next year. I'm trying to turn that into a recording studio. So that way I don't have to keep lugging my entire studio on my back to Alkek every Thursday night I record. And so that's the direction I want to try to go in. And then season 2, I'm going to try to get like bigger names around here. I want to try to get Cheetah from Stonewall. That'd be a lot of fun.
A great choice.
Yeah, she is fantastic. But also I want to try to get some of the other people around town. And one of the ones I was talking to you about is trying to get Frisbee Dan.
Ooh, that you are playing probably the most dangerous game, because everything that I've ever heard about Frisbee Dan is he is kind of an asshole.
I've heard he's weird. I've heard he's super weird.
Well, I mean, you have to be weird to be sort of a San Marcos, Texas State cornerstone. You just have to be a little bit off.
I mean, I had teachers at my high school who went to Texas State.
They know about Frisbee Dan.
Yeah, they said, say hey to Frisbee Dan for me. I'm like, who's that? And soon enough I found out. You saw him in school.
Have you seen Sun God yet?
I've seen Sun God a couple times at the park, yeah.
His weird like little chanting
I haven't seen the chanting. I've just seen him do like poses or like just kind of laying out and enjoying life. But his skin is
leather. That man, it looks like he is wearing like full motorcycle protection gear.
I feel like if a couch at IKEA like gained sentience, it would be Sun God.
It would be Sun God,
like
for
a leather
sure.
couch. Like
for
he
sure.
is. God, it's been quite a week, and it's also been quite a week in the news cycle.
Ooh,
there's been so much shit happening. So
it's a conservative wet dream.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier because I was just walking around our room, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, it's everything. If you're not politically to the right, it has been a shit week for you. so to start things off, to kick the week off on a high note, the Mueller investigation finally was made public, or at least Secretary Barr's report was released to Congress, and basically said that the Mueller investigation finds no evidence of collusion between Trump, his campaign, and Russia.
Sure.
They could not find any evidence of collusion. However, Trump is not exonerated from obstruction of justice, like when he tried to fire Comey. And Ms. Mueller is basically saying, like, there's definitely the potential for something there, but that's not what our investigation's for. And so this past week has been a conservative victory lap, for sure. It's been every pundit on the right saying, I told you so, facts don't care about your feelings, libtard.
Yeah, I was watching something today, and it was a member of Congress calling for the resignation of the chair of one of the I think it was like the House Ethics Committee or something like that.
What for?
Because it basically just being like, the Mueller investigation was, just a dog and pony show, complete circus. You've made a mockery of the American legislative system. Basically saying that we won, we know that we won, so we're going to use this momentum to try and push out some of the senior Democratic leadership.
And I don't know, I think I support the Mueller investigation. I support it from the beginning, and even after the fact, I still think it was a good decision.
I think that the Mueller investigation really took away from the important things that we were needing to discuss that the Trump administration was systematically dismantling, and CNN was giving more coverage to the Mueller investigation than it was to, Scott Pruitt's EPA or Betsy DeVos's, Department of Education.
And we'll get to her in a minute.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we will.
She had a big week, too. But
oh, yes, we will.
I think with the Mueller investigation, I think it really should be made public in its entirety. At least the stuff they can release without legally compromising other cases.
It was what, a 4-page summary that they came out with?
Yeah, and so I think because, especially since if the report is true, Trump is at least not innocent of collusion. And I think Mueller is a very thorough guy, and I think
2 years for 4 pages.
2 years. I mean, I think it's a very thorough report, and I think people deserve to see every bit of evidence and everything they went through. And I think, if anything, Republicans should push for that too, because that will definitely clear their name completely.
Sure.
Versus people just getting this report. If people can read it for themselves and draw the same conclusions, then we can let this whole thing go. Mm-hmm. But it's just, Mueller is a Republican. Mueller is, he's always been a Republican. He's always one of the air quote good ones. And I'm not saying he's bad for it. I think he's a very thorough guy. I think he's an honest guy.
Yeah.
And people who want to say this whole thing's a witch hunt, it was dishonest, I don't think that's true, because I think Mueller was just looking for the truth, and he found it. I mean, I don't necessarily, it's not the result I wanted, but I do have faith.
What was the result that you wanted, Cleveland?
I really did think there was collusion. I did.
Were you hoping for the impeachment of our current president, Donald Trump?
I agree with Nancy Pelosi when she said that Trump is not worth the time. Because the impeachment process is so lengthy, and so it's not really even effective. Because then you have Mike Pence, and Mike Pence is just going to carry on the same shit. Ugh. The only way, so I don't think it's worth the time.
Yeah.
And so I agree with her when she said that. But I do think that there was a lot there. And I mean, it might have just all been smoke and mirrors.
I mean, it took them 2 years to go through.
I mean, there were indictments handed. There's, I think, 13 indictments handed out to Russian officials.
There were indictments.
So we can say undoubtedly Russia attempted to meddle in the election, just not maybe specifically with the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a chapter closed at least.
So what do you think is going to be the new, not witch hunt, but sort of the tip on the Democratic leadership's spear for coming for the administration next?
You think for 2020? You think for the election, or are you asking me just for right now?
Just for right now.
God, I don't know, because I was going to say the Green New Deal, but that had a shit show this week, too.
Yeah.
0 votes.
Completely shot down.
0 votes in the Senate for the Green New Deal.
Ocasio-Cortez.
The speech she gave afterwards, just about, like, what the hell are we doing here? Because she hit it right on. I don't agree with a lot of AOC's policies, but I think she if you guys watch the speeches, it was all over Twitter. She was really upset.
Ooh, and relatable.
I was to me like, now here's the thing. We were talking about social psychology class, talking about methods of coercion to get people to do what you want. Mm-hmm. And so one of the methods, there's always the foot in the door method, where it's like, hey, can you do this small thing for me? And then you try to work up to a bigger task. And like examples of that would be like, hey, would you like to come and participate in the study? And then they say, oh yeah, sure. And I said, okay, cool. It starts at 7 a.m. See you there. Right, versus asking you up front, hey, would you like to come participate in the study that starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow?
You're like, no, thank you.
No, but once you've already committed to it, right? So that's one way. But the inverse of that is called the door in the face method, is where you ask for something ridiculous, knowing they're going to say no, and then you work it down to a air quote compromised position, which is the one you wanted in the first place.
Sure.
And so that's what I thought the Democrats were trying to do there. Because, I mean, the Green New Deal was such a massive overhaul of our infrastructure, of our regulation policy.
Oh, yeah.
That I thought they were like, Republicans were like, hell no, let's at least do this. And I thought the Republicans were just going to lower the bar to a point to where everybody would win. But they didn't budge on it at all. Republicans are not compromising for shit.
Why would they? They're in a position of strength right now.
It's like I said, it's been such a good week for conservatives, and as a centrist, it's just you watch it. I'm politically centered, but like same time, it is. I mean, this week could not get any better for if you're a Republican, really.
Speaking, just kind of going along in the same vein, the Supreme Court ruled that Obamacare is unconstitutional.
Oh, jeez. I mean, like I said, like this is like, I'm telling you, Trump is like just sitting there and just basking in it. He's like, Mueller said no collusion, Obamacare out, Johnny is back. Like it's Michael Avenatti, like one of President Trump's biggest critics, and he was considered like the Trump of the Democrats. He was just this loudmouth. He's Stormy Daniels' lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he's just a very big guy in New York, and he's kind of like the anti-Trump. He was like inverse Trump. Yeah. And he got arrested just this week too. One of Trump's biggest enemies, like Trump fucking hates him, got arrested in New York for extortion against Nike because he was holding classified information that he got his hands on over them if he didn't give like him a favorable deal. I don't know what the hell he wanted out of it, but he wanted some money out of it. And so Nike took it to the Justice Department and said, hey, we're being extorted. Take care of it, please. Wow. And so he got arrested. Wow. And it's, like I said, like it is win after win this week for Republicans. Yeah. And then Article 13 in Europe. Ooh. That shit passed. I think it's Article 17 now because they revised it. But basically, for those of you who don't keep up with European politics like your boy, he says sarcastically, Article 13 is basically, they have the link tax, and Article 13 basically makes intellectual property a lot harder to legally share. So you have to get permission from the person who owns either the music or the image to use it online in Europe.
Goodbye memes.
Goodbye YouTube. Think about that too.
YouTube, Twitter, anything, any sort of social media platform where images are shared, memes are shared instantaneously. Yeah. It becomes a whole lot harder to be accountable as a platform. Let's take YouTube, for example. It becomes a whole lot harder to be accountable as a platform where you have hours and hours of content
by uploaded. The minute.
Yeah, exactly. By the minute. And so what you were saying is they either have to change the way that their platform works, so a major overhaul in the way that, the algorithms work, the systems work, or they pull out of Europe entirely.
I think the latter is a better option because I think if they have to reformat their entire program to fit Europe's standards, that's going to have ripple effects around the world, and it's going to make the platform as a whole worse. And I think the worst part about it all, like I said, it's bad for memes, but it's bad for the spirit of the internet. The spirit of the internet is very transformative. It takes one thing, and eventually, you see like with shit posts and stuff like that, like it becomes like memes start doing crossovers. They start like crossbreeding memes basically together.
It's a whole new wave of communication.
Yeah, and it's very weird. It's very abstract, but once you're in it, it makes sense.
It does.
I've talked with you before about this, with the whole barrier for entry for memes, where it's becoming to a certain point where it's like so many memes are like referential to past memes.
They're meta.
They're meta. They're transcending in themselves to a different level, to the point where I think like our kids are gonna not be able to get some of the shit that, like, if we keep going on the path we're going, it's going to become like so self-referential and so, I mean, I don't want to say incestual, but like the point where it's all just inside the same community. Yeah. To where like you've had to be on this server for at least, you've at least had to be on the subreddit for 2 or 3 years to kind of get the whole gag of the meme. And I'm worried about that, but at the same time we got bigger problems like Article 13. So like I said, like, so now basically these companies can sue you for using their intellectual property. Yep. And this is a really big win for music companies especially. And basically, like, because they were pissed off that people were using music in their memes and stuff like that, or on YouTube videos, and they were making profit off of it. Because musicians are apparently, like Paul McCartney was one of the bigger voices in it, critically underpaid, right? Yeah. Yeah, he needs more money. And so...
Yeah, you mean Sir Paul McCartney?
Excuse me.
The fucking knight?
Sir Paul McCartney, yeah. So a lot of these music companies were really big on it, and I don't think they realize what they're doing. Because, listen, you have all these old farts.
Of course they realize what they're doing.
In Parliament. But they're not affected by it. And
let me tell you, Cleveland, they are affected by it because they get money.
Yeah, true.
That's the only thing they see. They don't see as you were describing, the transformative power of these internet images that are shared, across cultural boundaries, across, language barriers and stuff like that. They don't see that. They see dollar signs going down the toilet.
Yep. And, oh God, it's just, I'm so tired of all these old farts and just every parliament or Congress. I mean, here in the United States, when the whole Russia, Facebook shit broke out,
Who uses Facebook other than people who are not our age?
My dad, my mom, not our generation, but it was like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the main social media platforms, and how like Russia had these micro-targeted campaigns towards small groups to pin them against each other and for that to kind of spill out. And I remember because they sat down with like the CEO of Google. Mm-hmm. I forget the guy's name, but you had, I think it was Steve King or one of the other old ass Republicans was like, so now when I get on my iPhone here and I want to use one of your Google services, right? And he interrupts and goes, sir, Google doesn't make iPhones. And I remember I was like, this is fucking embarrassing. These are
the people that are determining the laws that govern not just their demographic, not just them with their Google iPhones.
Yes,
it governs everybody from the smallest child to the oldest person, and you only have that demographic that's being represented.
I mean, you're deciding things that will have ripple impacts 30 years from now.
Exactly.
And you don't even know the company who makes the fucking device, much less what it does. You have your 20-something millennial secretary, doing Twitter for you to keep an okay public image so you're hip and cool with the kids, but you don't even know who makes iPhone.
Didn't work out for Ted Cruz, did it?
Did not. Well, except for there was that one on the campaign trail against Beto where it was for Halloween, and he posted a Zodiac killer picture. He's like, happy Halloween. I was like, okay, good shit, Ted, good shit. That was funny. He acknowledged the meme. He became one with the meme.
Became a living meme.
He became a living meme. And that helped him. Understanding memes is the way to really effectively communicate with this generation, I think. Because we really, our sense of humor is so fucked at this point. Like,
yeah,
beyond repair.
I would agree. And then going along in the same vein of using memes for a successful political campaign, Hill Dog, stay the fuck away from our memes. Disgusting. I only have, if I could write a Yelp review for your campaign in the way that it just bastardized social media, like...
You don't like when Hillary is just chilling in Cedar Rapids?
No, I don't. I think she should be banned from Cedar Rapids, actually, now.
Oh, God. Oh, Hillary.
Say what you want about her. She is a strong woman. She is a strong woman.
She sucked the soul out of Bill Clinton. Have you seen that motherfucker?
Oh my God.
Have you seen that motherfucker lately?
He looks like a zombie now.
Dude, he's like, boo.
He's going to be like, I remember when Monica Lewinsky.
No, I actually, last week tonight, they did a piece on like public shaming.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks ago. And they were talking about how like patient zero of like our modern day public shaming was Monica Lewinsky. Because, I mean, really, when you look at it, it was more Bill Clinton abusing his position of power over a secretary.
Yeah.
But it became the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
It did.
And so she was dragged across late night. She was the punchline of every joke for the next 2 years, surrounding Clinton. She was really, I don't want to say the victim, but she was definitely not the perpetrator of the scandal.
Of course not.
And so they talked about it, and like that was she was the first one, but she's saying like, so she's become a very big voice in the spectrum of public shaming and different areas online now. And so they asked her about like, what do you think about public shaming? Does it do more harm than good? And she says like, and I agree with her. She's like, it's kind of, it works two ways. I think in some areas, like guys like Harvey Weinstein, the public recognition and condemnation is good.
Yeah.
At least that way, because it takes down these really bad people in high positions of power that otherwise wouldn't have gone down. But I think in other cases, you see with like Liam Neeson with that whole thing. It happened, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where he was.
That was a while ago, wasn't it?
I think it's about a month ago.
It was. I want to say that it was like you're talking about the.
I'm talking about when he was like talking about one of his female friends was sexually assaulted, and
he would go out. He went out there with a bat.
Yeah. I would go out there by the pubs, and I would just wait for one of those black bastards to walk out there so I could start something with them. But the thing is, he was talking about it, and he said, nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. Because a week later, after doing it, and he never really came across anybody, and he was like, he just kind of stopped. He's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
And so he was talking about how, like, that was back in like the 80s, he said, and like it was a learning experience for him. He stopped, and he's like, he stopped himself before anything bad happened. He said, what am I doing? And he learned from that experience.
But that's not the part that they focused on.
No,
of course not.
And he still got dragged. He got it's like promotional tour got canceled. He got kicked off all late night shows on the schedule for that week. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
And like that was supposed to be like a moment where it's like, I learned from a mistake I made, and I'm a better person for it. And everybody's like, no, Liam Neeson's canceled. Fuck him. Like, and it's just the whole cancel culture stuff.
Yeah, cancel culture.
People, because we are so obsessed with purity right now. It's like, you have to have been a perfect person from the second you came out the womb, that or you're canceled. And so, but now it's really starting to bite some people in the ass, because guess what? Everybody's got a shit history. Everybody has shit they want to forget. History is a pain in the ass. So, like guys like Kevin Hart didn't get to host the Oscars because of some seedy stuff he said back in 2007 on Twitter. Now, yeah. Cardi B is the latest.
Cardi B, okay. Now, about the whole purity thing, and I get the point that you're trying to make. And so, no, I don't think we should hold somebody that accountable for tweets that they made in 2007. But however, I think that we should hold people accountable for taking men back to a hotel room, drugging them, and stealing from them. That is something that we still need to hold accountable.
Yeah. You know? Because like I said, so now, like, let's say Cardi B is a guy. You know, I don't know, Cardi G, and G stands for guy. I don't fucking know. Hypothetically, let's say Cardi B's a guy. And history comes up that he drugged women with, you know, their drinks, made them unconscious, and just stopping there, not even saying what he did.
Yeah.
He would be canceled, absolutely. He would lose his record deal. He would have to go into fucking hiding.
Yeah.
But since it's a woman, it's a different situation. And Cardi B, she's owning it, too. That's the thing.
She's bragging about it.
It's very interesting. It's a very bold move. Let's see how it goes kind of thing. Like, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but she's not apologizing for it. And part of me is like, I mean, she's being genuine because, like, I did it, and she grew up. I mean, I don't want to say grew up, but she came up really rough. I mean, she was a stripper in her 20s.
Yeah.
You know, she was really on the streets. So, I mean, she was doing what she had to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, like, let me retract that. She wasn't doing what she had to do necessarily, but she was basically scrapping for every dollar she could get.
Sure.
And that includes
the hustle, the come up, the hip hop.
And that includes drugging men and robbing them. And I don't agree with it. And I think this is one of the cases she should be punished. But I think people are so ready to get angry about something these days. And you saw it with Jussie Smollett. And we're gonna talk about him now.
We're gonna segue right into that, are we?
God, and because like it was like way back and forth. At first, I was like, this is what happens with the MAGA folks. This is what Donald Trump is creating. You know, these two guys that think they can just mug a innocent, conveniently intersectional black man who's also part of the LGBTQIA plus community and get away with it. And then Chicago PD is like, I don't know. And then
because the whole story seemed very suspect from the absolute beginning.
Yeah.
When he made the report, people, I mean, of course there was that outpouring of sympathy because it is almost inconceivable for me, or at least at the time it was inconceivable for me that somebody could make up something like that.
Yeah.
And run with it the way that he ran with it.
And like immediately when you started inspecting it, the timelines didn't really match up because it said from the time he had the bleach and noose put on him, there was about 40 minutes between that and when he called the cops.
Yeah.
So that's already a little bit suspect. Like, what guy leaves a noose hanging around his neck for that long? Any guy, much less, you know, a black man in America.
Yeah.
And also, the thing is, what are two MAGA white dudes doing on the inner city streets of Chicago at 2 a.m?
And what MAGA white dudes would recognize
Jussie
Smollett, gay black actor from a primarily African-American geared show.
Yeah. Like what MAGA freak is going to watch Empire?
Exactly.
But so it turns out these MAGA freaks were actually 2 Nigerian bodybuilders he hired to stage the whole thing. At least this is according to the report, and I believe the Chicago PD's report. Yeah. Because, like I said, they spent hours and resources. They pieced together security camera footage of the whole situation.
Yeah.
And were able to track back. Also, he cashed a check in his name to these guys. It's like, what the fuck? Like, if you're going to do this, do it smart.
Yeah.
He literally wrote his name on a check to these guys that basically did the mugging on him. So he's arrested. He turns himself in, and he gets arrested. 16 accounts that range from filing a false police report to basically faking a hate crime. And I thought that was case closed. I'm like, good. Justice is served. This is why you don't race bait, in our modern political climate.
Not necessarily.
Yes.
Justice is served. He wasn't. And I'll say, Cleveland, that's a really sad thing that happened. I really hope that made it to court.
Yeah. I really hope it made it to court, too. And I'm sure that nothing could have ever happened under the table that would prevent it from reaching the court. Or at least from justice from being served until I woke up. Was it Tuesday, I think? I woke up and I was like, Garrett, did you see the fucking news? And he's like, what? It's like about Jussie Smollin. You're like, yeah, he's in jail. And I was like, no, he's out.
He's out. He's scot-free.
Yep. So state attorney's office decided it's like prosecuting's fun and all. And I think 16 felonies is fair. But you know what's worse? 16 hours of community service and a $10,000 fine. And his record is wiped entirely clean, and they sealed the records. They sealed them from public access. Oh my fuck! And look, I saw this on Twitter, and I agree with it. This isn't about black or white privilege. This is about green privilege. Jussie Smollin has fuck you money, and he's going to take it and he's going to use it. He used it basically just once again. You see the rich abusing the justice system to avoid justice.
Yep.
Like I said, he's walking scot-free of faking a hate crime in an incredibly divisive political climate and doing just so much damage to not only other people in the political climate, but also future victims of real hate crimes. He's hurting their reputation because the first thing that's going to pop into somebody's head when I say, hey, I just got mugged for being gay is going to be Jussie Smollin. What about him? You're going to immediately throw doubt into the minds of so many people when the next time a serious hate crime is reported. And he did this all to advance his own career. And It's disgusting. And the worst part, too, is there are people with marijuana possession charges that are still in jail and will be for the next, 6 or 7 years. Meanwhile, because he has money, he gets to cheat the system. He gets to escape jail for a far worse crime than having weed on you.
Yeah, of course.
And
that's the way it's always worked in America, Cleveland.
I know. And the thing is, in the left's silence on this is disgusting to me. Because they're always the ones talking about these fat cat rich people abusing the system and getting to avoid justice. They keep bringing up CEOs and all these other corporations that are destroying our environment and taking advantage of people and getting to get away with it all because they have money and because they have connections. But then when Jussie Smollin does the same thing, silence. Nobody says anything because they don't want to hold them accountable. And it's ridiculous. And the worst thing too, I remember the Empire Writers Twitter. It's a spoiler-free account. I remember watching it because they're saying and they took a picture of CNN's screen saying Jussie Smollin's record is expunged. And they said, see y'all Wednesday, and then put a winky face. I was like, how fucking bold do you have to be to say, yeah, we know he cheated the law. All we care about is we got one of our favorite lead actors back.
And ratings.
Yeah, the fucking ratings on that episode. Because I know, and people are going to hate watch it, for sure.
Yep.
And it's just, oh, God.
Speaking of things that just absolutely infuriate you, Cleveland.
Yes.
Throwing it back to our good old pal Betsy DeVos,
our
the
favorite
Secretary of Education for the United States of America. What did she cut funding to, Cleveland?
The Special Olympics. God damn it. She's the worst. I mean, she is the worst. Oh my fuck!
You have to try to be that awful, don't you think?
Diabolical. Who the fuck
is inherently just that bad?
Okay, she is the absolute worst. Her whole background is this: she never went to a public school.
Yeah.
Her degree, and she got in college from a private college. Guess what it was in?
What's that?
Business management. Not even education.
Yep.
Oh, well, maybe she worked in education department for business. No, none of that. Oh, what about her 3 kids? All of them private school, private
Never
college.
Never had to take out student loans.
Never. We'll get to that later. But so she has never been in the public school system. Never interacted with the public school system. Her kids have never gone to public school. And the only reason she's in that position is because she knows some Republican fat cats with a lot of money, and she's a big donor. And she has 3 fucking yachts, and she got to get into the position just because of, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy kind of thing. And they talked her over, and so now she's head of this thing, and she wants to promote school choice. Eric put her on school choice, which is basically saying, let's get away from public education and let's go towards private education. So you have the choice of where to throw thousands of dollars into every year for your child instead of having a decent public education system, which we would have if we didn't spend over half of our fucking national budget on defense.
Whoa. Let me stop you there, Cleveland.
Okay, I'm going
let
off
me,
the rails.
Let me stop you there. You're getting a little Alex Jonesy on me here.
Okay.
So, to his credit, our president, Donald Trump...
Our fearless leader.
Our fearless leader, Donald Trump, apparently...
Overturned it, yeah.
Overturned it.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to have the Special Olympics.
Imagine being so shitty that Trump's like, whoa. Betsy, we can't do that.
We're going to let the kids in the wheelchairs play basketball, damn it.
I mean, God.
We're not going to cut it.
It's like, it's such a nice thing for those kids. Because, team sports in general, I think, are great for kids in general. Especially ones who, like kids with special needs.
Yeah.
These are kids who already have a hard time expressing themselves. And, to be able to get out there and play a sport and work together on a team does so much for these kids. And you're going to cut it because it's too expensive. But let's put more money into standardized testing instead. It's so fucking dumb.
No child left behind, baby.
Oh, my God. If we got away from standardized testing. Oh, God. I think GW's heart was in the right place.
Of course.
It just didn't work out. And we need to acknowledge that.
I think Bush's, I'm talking about Junior here, because I don't particularly know a lot about Senior, but I think his heart was always in the right place. I think that he just received some of the worst advice given to any president in our modern history.
Dick Cheney.
Ooh, that is, you know what? Let's talk about Dick Cheney next time I'm on.
Okay, for sure. And we'll have to watch Vice, too.
We'll have to watch Vice.
I watched it when it was in theater. That movie was really well done, but also it pissed me the fuck off.
As all good movies are.
I was, on the drive home, I saw it with my dad. I was just, yelling. I was like, how the fuck did we let this happen? This is so fucked. I was and this is... I was yelling at my dad. My dad, eventually cut me off. He was like, you're not going to have to pay for this. You're not going to have to foot this bill. I am going to have to foot this bill that you fucking signed, right? And it got very ageist, and I got upset.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll admit to it.
All right.
I slipped into ageism for a minute, but yeah, so Betsy DeVos is part of the reason I think this country is going down the fucking slopes. We'll say that.
All right. Can I talk about my passion now?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So, dear listener, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. My biggest phobia is not drowning. My biggest phobia is not falling from a great height. My biggest phobia is taking out a student loan in our current climate.
Another fantastic development of our wonderful education system that Betsy DeVos heads.
Okay, so I'm about to hit you guys with some pretty hard statistics and some pretty hard truths. So the class of 2018 graduated with 69% of students who graduated were in debt, with an average debt of about $29,800.
Oh my God.
So Americans now owe $1.56 trillion in student loan debt. That's $521 billion more than credit card debt. That's a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
It's a good majority of people who attend a institution of higher education.
It's a vast majority of millennials, the generation right before us.
Yeah. So 11.5% of student loans are 90 days delinquent or are in default. And let me tell you why that is a problem. They can send federal marshals to arrest you if you do not pay your student loans. Like the case of Paul Aker, who was arrested in Texas for not paying his $1,500 loan that he took out in 1987, which had accrued interest so that it was now $5,700. So what they did is they sent 2 marshals to his house in Texas. He met them at his mailbox. They told him, hey, we're federal marshals. We're here to arrest you for your student loan debt. And of course, you being Mr. Paul Aker, you're like, I don't quite believe that. So he went back to his house to, quote, get his gun, unquote. Mm-hmm. That resulted in a standoff. 7 federal marshals were called in, and they detained Mr. Paul Aker. right, for $5,700. That is $5,700.
Oh my
So
God.
they went to court, and all the judge did was say, okay, I'm going to put you in a payment plan for $200 a month.
Yeah.
So apparently...
So from the standoff that started over student loans.
Yep.
Armed standoff.
Yep, armed standoff.
Oh my fucking God.
So it took 7 federal marshals for this guy to come into court and have the judge say, just pay $200 a month.
Oh my fucking God.
Okay? So how did it get this bad,
Tell me.
you ask?
Tell me.
The way that federal student loans are structured really changed under the Obama administration. So when Obama announced his candidacy in 2007, we were, as a country, only $450 billion in debt due to student loans.
A small price.
$450 billion in 2007, up to $1.56 trillion
Holy shit.
as of this year, 2019.
That's disgusting.
Okay, and so the reason that that number is so drastically changed is because Obama federalized the system of student loans, making the U.S. Department of Education the largest lender in the United States. Now, the U.S. Department of Education obviously isn't structured to be the largest creditor in the United States. So what they started doing is sort of outsourcing these federal loans to people called student loan servicers.
Okay.
In 2017, 17,175 complaints were lodged to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is the federal sort of organization that handles the legal side of things about student loans. So yeah, like I said, 17,000 complaints in 2017. And so Navient, which is the third largest loan servicer company in the United States, was responsible for between 25% and 76% of those complaints, depending on the state that you lived in. The 25% being Rhode Island, the 76% being Washington State.
Really?
Yeah. So out of those complaints, it finally got the attention of somebody at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they filed a lawsuit against Navient during the latter years of the Obama administration. So the Education Department found evidence that Navient was purposely railroading customers into high-cost plans without discussing options that would have been less costly in the long run.
Oh my fucking God. So that's what I was thinking, like, they're basically just trying to profit off these students who don't know what they're doing.
Of course. So there was actually evidence presented by the U.S. Department of Education, and particularly the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which actually filed the lawsuit, that showed that people who worked for Navient, who were at the call help center, were encouraged to keep calls 7 minutes or less.
Oh my God.
They had a quota, and if they didn't meet that quota, it obviously would reflect poorly on them. Mm-hmm. So imagine, I am a young, struggling millennial who just got out of college, just got this fancy new bachelor's degree that took me 4.5 years to 5 years to complete, because that's the way that the bachelor's degree is set up now, is it doesn't take you 4 years, it takes you 4.5 to 5. I am a young, naive millennial, dewy-eyed with the hope that I might somehow navigate the treacherous waters of personal finance in the coming years. I don't understand anything about it, because the way that, student loans are set up, it's a bunch of legal jargon.
Yeah.
So I call my trusty loan servicing program, Navient.
Good old Navient.
I get somebody on the phone who encourages me, after I explain my situation briefly, because I'm being hurried at the other end of the line. I am encouraged to, so there are two things that you can do with your debt. You can either forbear on it, or you can not default, but sort of put off payments until later, at which time you get, you resume payments, but with a higher interest rate. Okay? So this person at Navient ends up telling me, well, it sounds a lot like your situation merits you stop making payments for X amount of time, and then you can just resume them when you want. That sounds really fucking good to me, doesn't it?
Sounds almost too good.
But being the young, dewy-eyed millennial with the hope for change that I do, I say, okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much for your help.
Now, imagine being a first-generation college student, especially. Like, you didn't you're the first one to go to college.
Yep.
Of your entire family. So your parents don't know jack shit about it. That's not on them. But, like, this is supposed to be a good moment for, like, if you think about your family lineage, like, you're moving up.
Yep.
The education in college is supposed to be that next step into, like, a next class, the next level. And it's just really putting you deeper into the pits because of that.
Yep.
Because you're getting railroaded these shit deals
Yep.
that benefit the creditor in the student loan services and hurt the people that are supposed to be moving up through education.
Okay. Exactly. So you would think with shady business practices that are practiced by Navient and are still continuing to be practiced today. Right now.
Shit.
You would think that there would be some sort of, repercussions for that, sort of way of doing things. But when the Trump administration came into power,
sounds like good
he
news.
put Betsy DeVos, our Lord and Savior, over the U.S. Department of Education, which brought the lawsuit against Navient in the first place.
Always comes back to her.
She dropped the lawsuit.
No, really? What?
Yep.
No.
Yep. She dropped the lawsuit, and the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy that actually brought the lawsuit from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau resigned in protest.
Wow.
So Navient continues to do what they were almost sued over today. All right?
As we speak.
And I will grant that the Obama administration tried to throw public workers a bone when they sort of federalized the entire process. And they said, hey, if you're a civil servant for 10 years, you can apply to have all of your student loans forgiven.
Yeah.
You just want to make a wild guess how many of the 30,000 applicants actually had their student loan debt forgiven?
I'm going to guess less than 2,000.
Lower.
1,000.
Lower.
500.
Lower.
200.
Lower.
50.
A little bit higher.
60 something?
A little bit higher.
70?
Okay, you know what? I'm sure this is getting boring for the listeners,
Hand
but
it to me.
I will tell you, out of the 30,000 applicants that filed to have their student loan debt forgiven, 96
Holy shit.
people actually got approved.
96.
And let me tell you why only 96 of them got approved. Because the other vast majority of the applicants had the wrong type of loan.
What the fuck's that supposed to mean?
So their federal loan that they had gotten from the federal government was the wrong type of loan to be forgiven by the federal government.
Oh my God.
Yep. 96 of the 30,000 applicants.
And so they just threw themselves into 10 years of federal service.
Yep.
To just be further into
Someone
debt.
like my mom who has dedicated her entire life to public service. So my mom took out some student loans when she went to law school because nobody feasibly, unless you are extremely well off, can pay for not only undergraduate, but graduate school.
Yep.
Nobody, except for Betsy DeVos.
Of course. Her and her 3 yachts.
Exactly. Can feasibly pay for that. So my mom did what the average American did at the time and took out a federal direct loan. That number, since she has taken it out, has not gone down at all. She's made payments for 25 years. That number has not gone down a single cent. Funnily enough, I asked her last time I was home, I was like, hey, do you know who your federal loan servicer is? And you want to take a wild fucking guess who it was?
Navient?
It was Navient.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh. So she applied. She really did. She applied. She has worked for Child Protective Services, Family Protective Services. She has worked her entire life for the government. And the government doesn't pay much. My mom is a very talented lady. She has put bills of legislation forward to the Texas Senate. She has given presentations. She has, held committee hearings and stuff with some very powerful, very professional people. So it is not like she was limited to only working in the civil service sector. It is something that she felt called to do. And so when somebody higher up says, hey, we recognize you for this service and we want to forgive your student loan debt. And so when you apply and you learn that your loan is the wrong type of loan to be forgiven.
And if you bet, I can bet you that Navient knew what they were fucking doing too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It is a company, and as all companies are set up, even, companies that are designed to help. And that's what, loan servicers are. That's what health insurance companies are.
They're counting on you to fuck up.
They're designed to make money, as all companies are.
Yeah, it's not a fucking charity. It's a company.
You're right. It's a corporation. It's not a charity.
Yeah.
And this is sort of going to be my conclusion to my whole rant that I've been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the student loan imperative act that was passed, it was passed by Congress in the 1960s, the early 1960s. Yeah. It was called the Federal Fund for Defense Education or something like that. Mm-hmm. Because in the 1950s, we had about 3 million Americans that were going to college. Mm-hmm. And as you well know, during the 1950s, after the Second World War,
Sputnik.
Yep, we were losing to the Soviets in terms of higher education numbers, right?
And goddamn Ruskies.
And so Congress passed this act that established sort of a federal loan program to encourage young people to go to college because it was more affordable. So we had 3 million college students in early 1950s to mid 1950s. In the mid 1960s, that number was up to 6 million.
Okay.
So this is my plea for anyone that is listening to this, or anyone who has any sort of desire to influence anything that's going on in the current political climate. Please, please, please return student loans to what they were supposed to be. Return student loans to what they were designed to be, a way to invest in the future of America through the education of our young people. Please, please, please say no to companies like Navient. Please say no to, lawsuits being abolished by the Secretary of Education. That's just not fair.
It's not.
That's just not fair.
And it's going to fuck over an entire generation of young people.
Yep.
And see, that's the thing too. Like, you see a lot of the Bernie bros are people in their late 20s, mid 30s. A lot of the millennials right now.
Sure.
Millennials were hit the hardest by the student loan crisis because not only did they take out a fuck ton of student loans, but they were coming to the job market just as the Depression hit.
Yep.
And so I don't agree with them, but with Bernie, I get it. I get why they want to. Because, like, they're so deeply trapped in fucking debt. A socialist overhaul sounds fucking amazing because they'll forgive their student loans. They're acting in their best interest. They're trying to do what's best for them. And I can't blame them for that. Thankfully, Generation Z, our generation, has kind of been able to watch millennials not only get hit by the student loan problem, but also watch them go through the Depression. We kind of got to sit there and watch as they struggle to find jobs, as the debt continued to grow. And so now you see a lot of our generation, we either don't go to community college, or we don't go to college, big colleges, we go to community colleges, or we're looking for other ways to get in, either through military service or through either climbing a corporate ladder or looking for federal benefits in other ways, which has benefited us. But at the same time, I understand the really big push for socialism right now in the country because people are so incredibly fucked by all these other companies that have taken advantage of, like, a 7-minute conference to decide hundreds of thousands of dollars for the next 6-7 years of your life. And then from then on when you owe them. It is fucking ridiculous.
Yep. It's Thank you for indulging me, Cleveland.
No,
that is one of the few things that I am just very passionate about. It's just, like you were saying, we saw sort of what the millennial struggle was. Mm-hmm. That is going to be us.
If we don't wise up.
If we don't demand change.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I mean, if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what does.
I'm at a loss for words right now. I mean, even talking about it makes me angry.
I mean, and this thing too, like I said, these are people far old enough, way past our struggle. They're like, this doesn't affect me. Why should I give a shit? My kids go to private college. I went to a private college. What's public education? Is that for poor people? I wouldn't understand, because you have so many of these people who were groomed to be politicians, who grew up in the Country Oats Club, who've never experienced any kind of struggle in their life. And then they're put in charge of making decisions for the rest of the population. Like I said, they probably have never spent one day on the streets in their life. They've never had to take out one loan because mommy and daddy financed it. I mean, in my situation, and thankfully, because my dad's 20 plus years of military service, I was able to get the GI Bill to take care of most of my undergraduate. Mm-hmm. But for graduate school, if I want to pursue a career in law school beats the fuck out of me how I'm going to pay for that. I really don't know how I'm going to take care of that. And I don't. Student loans. I don't want to take out loans.
Unless you win the lottery, Cleve, student loans. Your life is decided for you.
There's the other option. This is how my dad got in the military in the first place. You throw yourself into the military and decide to become another cog in the machine for a couple of years of your life to get the benefits, to get college paid for. Because they'll pay for your college so long as you put your life on the line, which is a respectful thing to do. And I sympathize with it, and I'm seriously considering it. I really don't want to take out loans.
Oh yeah, Air Force. I'm a psych undergrad right now.
We're both psych undergrads, yeah.
Yeah, we're both psych undergrads, and I was looking at a program where I would sort of enlist in the Air Force, and the Air Force would pay for my graduate school to get my clin psych degree, so I could become a licensed therapist. But in turn, I would have to, give up my body for, 7 years, 10 years, something like that. But you know what? That offer is sounding a lot more attractive to me now than federal marshals coming to me at my private residence while I'm checking my mail and hauling me off to jail.
Yep. And it's just, it's like Sophie's choice. I mean, that's where we're at right now. And it's just for education.
Yep.
And I think the only hope for our way out, and it's a very idealistic thing, but the way the internet is decentralizing everything right now, because you can have high quality lectures, you can have so many good educational resources for free online, and it needs to stay that way. I think you can really have some people that are completely self-educated. I mean, back my sophomore year, the summer of sophomore year, going to junior high school, when I was first thinking about going into psychology, I watched the Crash Course series on psychology, just kind of as a way to get my foot in the water. I mean, it was basically an AP Psych class online.
Yeah.
It was just the lecture portion of it. But, it helped me not only in the class that fall, but it helped really get me into it. And it was well made. It was entirely free. And those lectures were better than some of the lectures I received in school.
Yep.
And it's all free online. I mean, I say all free. I mean, the only catch with online is they take your data. They basically know you better than you know you.
Speaking of taking your data, Facebook's actually getting sued by the federal government right now. Yep.
What for?
Ad targeting.
Ad targeting?
Yep.
Makes sense. And that's the thing, too, because, when it's a free service online, you then have to in turn assume that if they're not trying to sell you something, they're selling you. Mm-hmm. They're selling your interests,
you're the product.
Your habits. Yeah, they're selling. Yeah, you're the product online.
Yep.
And that's a compromise I think that a lot of us are going to have to make. So I think the internet's such a amazing thing. At a certain point, once you reach it, I think once everybody's information's out there, it's just going to become pointless. Like I said, everybody's got their information online.
Yeah.
The point where it's going to be such an endless sea of information where I don't think you could be specifically targeted by an average person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of problems. And speaking of money, I don't know if you want to talk about it very briefly, but another huge fucking problem in this country is drug prices. Getting warmed up to spit?
Oh, yeah. Man, I feel like I need a segment on your show that's just Garrett rages.
Garrett's pissed off.
Garrett's pissed off. Find out why next
week. Have
week.
you be like a field reporter, be like, hey Garrett, what are you pissed off about this week? And
student loans and drug prices. All right. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about drug prices because I feel like this is a topic that I could really expand on.
We could go about this for another hour if you want to.
Yeah. And shameless plug for myself, I am more than willing to come back on the show and talk about drug prices.
Yeah.
But okay, so we'll just talk about insulin specifically. We won't get into the opioid epidemic or anything like that.
That's a whole can of worms.
So regarding insulin, it is a necessary product for diabetics in America. Okay? So insulin was created by two Canadian scientists from the University of Ontario. And those scientists, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but if you're anywhere near where they're buried, please go leave a flower on their grave. They realized the importance of their discovery. And they sold the patent to insulin for $1 each to the University of Ontario.
Oh my God.
Okay? So fast forward years and years and years, the University of Ontario sells the patent or licenses the patent to the United States government. The United States government realizes that insulin, in the process for making insulin, is too expensive for them to work with in the long term. So they, in turn, license out patents for insulin to private corporations.
Sure, it can only get better from here.
So those same corporations have had the patent for insulin for decades. And you might ask yourself, wait, that doesn't sound right. I thought that patents, after a certain amount of time, they became sort of generalized, sort of like with Viagra and how it's about to be non-patented, and so other companies can pick up sort of like the boner pill recipe, right? But here's the kicker with something like insulin. The way that the law is structured regarding not prescription drugs, but just drugs like insulin, is that in order to renew your patent, in order to renew your exclusive access to the making of this drug, you have to change some properties about insulin. So all these companies have to do is every 10 years or so, when the patent comes back up for renewal, or I don't know if it's 10 years or longer, all they have to do is change the drug. Notice how I said they don't have to make it any better. All they have to do is go in there and alter the insulin compound just a tiny bit, tweak it, so that they can get the patent renewed.
It's a new one, or it's a new insulin.
Yep. And have the monopoly continued on the product that is insulin. So if you look at charts of the prices of insulin, I'm going to pull one up right now on my laptop. Insulin prices in the 90s were relatively low. And then when these companies started realizing that they had a monopoly on insulin and its prices, and along with the other drug hikes that have occurred in the past 2 decades, they started hiking their prices up, in the U.S. specifically. So it now costs less to book a flight to Germany, buy X amount of insulin in Germany with Germany's prices, fly back to the U.S.
Jesus Christ.
It costs less to do that than to buy the same amount of insulin in America for the same amount of time.
Oh my God. I mean, you really have to start thinking, you're starting to have a problem here. Well, literally, it would cost less to fly halfway around the world just to get a drug, a life-saving drug.
And you would think that, politicians would be up in arms, but let me tell you why they're not. Because Big Pharma has more lobbyists in Washington than Big Oil or sort of like the fossil fuel industry. All of that combined, they have more lobbyists in Washington than all of these other industries.
I mean, I think they're in bed with basically every powerful politician.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if you speak out against them, you're not getting reelected, basically.
Exactly. And so, kind of independent from like insulin prices, you saw people kind of waking up to rising drug prices when, Martin Shkreli
Oh yeah,
Pharma Bro. Pharma Bro, dude. Like,
what a fucking tool.
He hiked up his prices, what, 1,000%, something like that.
Yeah,
something crazy.
And he bragged about it.
And you know what? In an interview, he said, if I thought that I could have gotten away with it, I would have hiked up the price more.
And he really did get away with it. He shot himself in the foot by laughing about it all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
He just stayed quiet like most of these companies do. He would have been fine.
Yep.
But thank God his mouth was too damn big. Well, we're going to take a break here to be pissed off about it real quick, and then we'll get right back to you.
You have to change. And I take his head into my hands, and I bop him one final time. And then he's gone.
And we are back. And Garrett, we have just enough time for this week's round of fan mail. And this one comes from your girlfriend, Cheryl Wilkes. And she's asking you, Garrett, have you ever been kicked out of any stores?
Well, as a matter of fact, my wonderful girlfriend, I actually have. There is a specific Walmart deep in East Texas that I am permanently banned from.
Permanently?
Yeah, my name and my picture are up in the security office and everything.
Did you not smile for the picture?
I did not smile for the picture because
you come off like a total shithead.
I was, I think, 14 at the time. So, yeah, just before I had gotten the ability to drive. Because I remember we were dropped off at this specific Walmart by my friend's mom. And she was the one that came and picked us up after we were kicked out. So we actually, once we were kicked out, we had to walk away from the Walmart, like off of the premises, right?
Walk of shame.
So, yeah. We were like hanging out at the gas station right next to the Walmart, and that's where she picked us up. So the way that the story goes is, you all remember when you were 14 years old and you were just some shithead
dicking around at Walmart.
Yeah, dicking around at Walmart, like doing shithead things. So my friend that I was with at the time, I was with several friends, but the one that I got kicked out with was my friend Trey Red. And that was back when the gallon smashing sort of fad was popular.
Where you fake the slip. You're, whoa!
Yeah, you fake the slip and you're like, oh no, 2 whole gallons of a liquid just like flew out of my hands, right? So it's a premise you can get away with if you're in the right aisle, like. But here's the problem with what we did. We were nowhere near a food aisle. We were, in fact, in the shoe aisle.
What the fuck?
Of Walmart, right? We were in the shoe aisle, and I had my phone out because we really liked to record what we were doing because we told ourselves we were going to make a YouTube channel about it.
Oh, man. Garrett's
Cool
Pranks.
Yeah,
cool
TV,
guys.
Cool guys.
TV on YouTube.
So, my friend Trey had a gallon of orange juice.
Uh-huh.
And I think I'm pretty sure I still have the video on my phone. So he takes this gallon of orange juice, and he just kind of, in basketball, granny shot where you go in between your legs and kind of heave it up. So he took this whole ass gallon of orange juice, he heaved in between his knees, shot up, right? Perfect form. It was like watching an Olympic athlete in slow motion just toss the thing for high heaven, right? He tossed that gallon of orange juice so hard, it hit the fucking ceiling, right? So this is all I have it in slow motion.
This is in the fucking shoe aisle, right?
Yeah, it's the shoe aisle. Yeah, we thought we really had something going, right? And so I'm watching. It's beautiful. You know, I can hear soft opera in the background, like Ave Maria playing as I'm watching this, you know, meteoroid of orange juice just fall towards the floor. And when it hits the floor, it obviously splatters and goes everywhere, all over the shoes, all over everything. And my moment of absolute euphoria was interrupted by this voice behind me, and I'll try my best to recreate what it sounded like, but it went a little something like, "We got him, we fucking got him," right? And this 60-year-old woman who had been smoking since the age of 2 had, you know, unbeknownst to me, run up on me from behind. And she was speaking into her walkie-talkie, and she grabbed me and Trey by our arms, and she said, "You're coming with me," right? She sounded like, you know, like the Mike Wazowski.
"You're coming with me, Wazowski."
Exactly. So
always watch.
We get dragged to the security office here at this Walmart, and we're sit down, and we're sitting in front of all the cameras, like all the camera monitors that they have going. No. And I just see a video of my friend and I, and it's on a loop, right? And so I'm watching this orange juice just splatter over and over, and I'm trying really hard not to laugh because that was the funniest shit in the world to me, right? And so eventually, like, the manager of this Walmart comes into the security office, and she's like, "You know, we could, you know, call the cops on you boys for property damage." And granted, I was not a smart young man.
No, nobody was at 14.
My stepdad is a member of the Tyler Police Force, and that's, you know, the city that we were in when we got in trouble. And so looking at her straight in the face, I go, "Do it." "What the fuck do you think you're going to get out of it, huh?" Right? And
I own this city.
Yeah. My stepdad's a cop. My mom's a lawyer.
My dad works for Nintendo.
Yeah, right? Like, and that fucking pissed her off, right?
Oh, no.
She obviously wasn't going to call the cops on, you know, 4 kids that were just causing havoc in a Walmart. She just wanted to scare us. But unluckily for her...
You forced her hand.
I forced her hand, and she said, "Well, you know, I'm not going to call the cops, but I am going to take a picture of all of you and hang it right here on this wall." "And you are no longer allowed back in my Walmart." She said, "My Walmart." Like she was a member of the fucking Walton family, right? That had created, like she built that Walmart with her own 2 grubby hands, right? She said, "You're not going to be welcome back at my Walmart." And I was like, "Oh, no, big loss." So that Walmart was on the crackhead side of town. So like I really didn't go there anyways. And so eventually she's like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't want to fucking see you." I don't know why she switched like 3 accents throughout this entire story, but
she became Dick Cheney for a minute there.
But so, you know, we walk to the gas station. Our friend's mom picks us up, and she's laughing at us, right? She's like, "Why were you at the gas station?" And we didn't want to tell her that we had gotten kicked out, right? So we were like, I don't know. We just didn't feel very comfortable in that Walmart. And she's like, "You guys got kicked out, right?" And we were like, "Please, Mrs. Ehrman, don't tell our parents." And she was like, "You know, I'm not going to tell your parents." And, you know, and now I'm looking back on it, you know, I laugh at it because, you know, it was just some sad Walmart employee trying to flex some muscle on some 14-year-old kids. But, yeah, I have been kicked out of a store, and I have been banned from a store for life.
Jesus Christ. Well, that was a very good question from your girlfriend, Sherilyn. And if you guys have any fan mail for us, be sure to email us at sammoshow@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to get around to your fan mail in the next episode. And speaking of the next episode, I think this is where we're going to cut this one here, Garrett. And it was
fuck yeah.
It was an honor having you on. It was great to get pissed off about all the shit that's going on right under our nose.
It's very cathartic.
It is very cathartic. I am super glad to have you on. And you are, once again, of course, welcome on the show anytime you want, man. I always love having you on.
I'm taking a bow right now.
All right. Well, thank you for having us on the show. Be sure to pick up your trash, don't litter, and keep our river clean. And I will see you in the next one.